guys, it's Brant, and I'm back with another Kiss The Panel Has Spoken video, and today we're going to be covering Sonic Boom. Do it for me, Chris.
Sonic Boom!
Sonic Boom! I can't do it. I don't do a good Paul.
Boom!
Unless I'm
scream it.
unless I'm in my yard yelling like an old Jewish grandma, and then I sound like Paul.
You could say, I hear some of you like vodka and orange juice.
Orange juice! All right. So we love you, Paul. If you're ever watching one of my videos, I know I give you shit, but I love you. And I got to cut shit out because I said it within the first 2 minutes. I gave you beep, Paul. I give you beep, but as you know, I love you. Yeah, YouTube don't like you cussing within the first 2 minutes of a video. So we're doing Sonic Boom, and we got with the panel. We had 65 on the panel. We have 4 of us right here. Myself, the Matthew Smith from Matthew Smith, MD Smith Comics on Instagram. We have a panel member down here in the lower right-hand corner, first time on the show, Justin Churchey Hanson III, correct? That's what you go by on Instagram?
Justin Churchey Hanson _17 because I had to change my account due to it being hacked last week.
Yeah. So now he's Justin Churchey Hanson _17 on Instagram.
And on YouTube as well.
YouTube as well.
And Justin Churchey.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's Justin Churchey on YouTube.
Okay.
I make other videos besides Kiss. Like I make Elvis videos, some Doors videos, just whatever I like. I just make videos about mainly Kiss and Elvis because those are my 2 favorites.
That's cool because it's funny you mentioned that because I was actually, before Elvis passed away, when I was a kid, I was 8 in 1977 when Elvis passed away. And I was a huge Elvis fan. I cried when Elvis died. And I went from being an Elvis fan to being a Kiss fan just because of a happenstance purchase that my grandmother made in a drugstore. She bought me Destroyer, and she's like, "Oh, this looks like you would like it," and that's the origin. That's my origin story right there.
Yeah.
And below me we have Kimchi Chris below, and so we're here to talk about Sonic Boom. Boom. This is the only copy of Sonic Boom I have. I do not have it on album, on vinyl at all. I don't. But the funny thing is, I was actually working at Walmart part-time when this album came out. And I picked this CD up. They had stacks and stacks and stacks of the CD. We didn't have the whole aisle like you were supposed to. We had like a section of an aisle. But it was supposed to be this big thing. And we ended up not doing that. And from what I understand, most Walmarts ended up not doing it. I remember I initially didn't like this album too much. And we'll get into those reasons why as we talk about the songs and talk about the album. So let's start with Matthew. Tell us a little bit about your Sonic Boom experience.
You know, when it came out, I didn't hear it. I didn't buy it or anything, honestly, because I had a lot of people who like Kiss tell me, it's not that good, don't even bother. So I kind of I wasn't too impressed with Psycho Circus. Sorry, Chris. But Psycho Circus eventually grew on me, Psycho Circus grew on me, though. But yes, I was like, well, if it's anything like Psycho Circus, and, I won't go into a lot about the whole Eric and Tommy thing, but at the time I was like, I would have thought it would have been a lot better if they just gave them their own makeup, gave them their own look, that would have been cooler, I thought. So I just kind of ignored it. But honestly, so the first time I heard this album in full was about 2 or 3 years ago, really. My fiance and I were at a used CD store in Tennessee that we go to when we visit up there. It's huge. And they had it. They had this CD in there for like $5. So I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and get it. Might as well, add it to the collection. And after I listened to it, I was like, well, this is actually not that bad. I mean, to me, it sounds like I hear a mix of 70s Kiss, 80s Kiss, and a little bit of Revenge era Kiss all in this album. I'll go into detail about that with the songs or whatever, but I guess I went into it expecting to hate it, and I came out of it thinking, it's decent, So that's pretty much where I'm at with that.
All right, Justin, what about you?
Okay, so I have a long story, but I'm going to shorten it. So this album was like my first studio album I ever gotten at 6 years old, but I got it when it was pretty new for Christmas that year. But before that, I've been a casual fan for about 3 years. And my father introduced me to them when I was 3 years old back in 2006 with this CD here, the Millennium Collection. And then one day I went and visited with him, and he had this. He had the normal CD, this album itself, but he said, I don't know if you're going to like this one that much. He pulled it out, and he put in the Kiss Classics, and he skipped it to I Was Made for Loving You because that's my all-time favorite Kiss song. And that version there is my favorite version because it changed my life forever, and I became an instant fanatic after that. So this album is very nostalgic for me just for that reason, because it made me become the huge fanatic that I am today.
Awesome.
And I do also own it on vinyl. Here, it's one of the newer bootleg ones that came out 6 months ago. But the record looks like the authentic one of the authentic ones. It's on purple vinyl. And I've heard that a lot of these ones sound really bad, like the original that came out on Kiss Online on kissonline.com. When I play this one here, it sounds pretty good.
Okay.
So, because I don't have an original to compare it to. This is the only vinyl copy I own, but sounds pretty good considering what I've heard about the quality of the sound on the original.
All right. So, Chris, what about you with Sonic Boom?
Yeah, I remember being very excited about this one, not to sound like a broken record from the last panel, but, it had been quite a while since we had heard anything new from Kiss. I've always been a fan of the Tommy and Eric lineup, throwing out the makeup designs and things, regardless, they're talented guys. And, I was excited about this, all of the hype building up to it, saying, it's going to be old school Kiss and there's no ballads and we're recording it on old equipment and we're using this and we're doing this and we're doing that. I was pretty excited about it. And I kind of looked at everything we have gotten at this point as kind of like borrowed time, since it was all supposed to end several years before that. So I figured new Kiss, even at its worst, was still new Kiss. And, again, not to give too much away, but I enjoy this record. I think it's kind of a middle-of-the-road Kiss record. It's not the greatest ever, but far from the worst. I think it's a pretty cool record.
So we're going to go ahead and get into the panel members. Of course, you have the four of us. From YouTube, we have Emily Graziano, Future Squash 767, Trevor Bullock, Toy Bonnie, Sublime 130, Jay Rucker, Luis Maladano, Stephen Goodman, Carolina Hard Rock Metalhead, Les Wadley, Holspa Metal, Wam SB, Super Kiss 1200, Michael Vasquez, Buckwheat, Raven FM, Brian Foster, Jay Reed, Raw Barber, Daniel Bars, Mikhail D, Jeremy Kimona, Hitspace 1980, Rocker L 0270, Real Squirtle Cat, Rick R, Hard Rock Reverie, Robbie Stars, Joel Pegg, Mick C, Horror and Pop Culture, Jesse Ray, John O, Mike Westfall, Guard TJ 75, Jay Lee, Kissin' Time, Gregory Pegg. From Twitter, we have Sam Loomis. And Sam Loomis on his Twitter feed, if you're Twitter, go to my post for this and look for Sam Loomis's post. He told a really cool story, and it's too long to really recap here, but go check that out. He told a really cool story. Jeff Wyatt, Darren Helliwell, Vincent Morone author, Tom Dust, David King, Kissman, Mark Weir, Tony Rod, Aladio, and Bill Sharp. From Facebook, we have Destroy Your Dave, Walter Chijessen, Paul Bertolino, Wesley Jones, Matt Ucci, Terry Very Holloway, Michael Wayne. And from Instagram, Mick WB5, Wild Ride, Doyle Eric Rosh, Drew Tan 16, AJ Zetro 1975, Tony P, and It's All For You Demon. So, that is all of us. That is 65 of us in total. And we're going to talk about Sonic Boom. There's 11 tracks, and we're going to count them down, starting with track 11. And we'll go in this order. We'll go from Matthew to Justin to Chris, back to me. So with that, what is our predictions? What is your prediction for number 11?
Number 11 prediction: When Lightning Strikes.
So I forgot to mention this before, but I love pretty much every song on this album. There is a couple that I don't like, but the one I did predict is for number 11 is Danger Us.
I predicted I'm an Animal.
Okay. I predicted Stand. So that's funny. All 4 different predictions. For number 11, with 279 points, the panel chose Hot and Cold. One panelist, Terry Very Holloway, picked it as their number one track. I picked it as my number 7. It's Hot and Cold for me is not a bad song. I really like the first part of this album, and the second side of this album is very much hit and miss for me. Hot and Cold is one of those songs that it's almost has, it's one of those songs that has that kind of Love Gun, Rock and Roll Over style sound to it, and a lot of Gene's our songs on this album sounds that way. I think Gene really wanted to go back. He wanted to go back to the 70s. He wanted to go back to be 70s Gene pretty much, and he did it on a lot of his songs with a couple exceptions. But Hot and Cold is good to me. It's a good song. It's not the most memorable song on the album, but it's got some good hooks to it, and I like it. So it's number 7 for me. Where does it stand for you guys?
Yeah, it was number 7 for me as well. Definitely has a very 70s-ish sound. To me, it sounds very similar to Love 'Em, Leave 'Em. Mm-hmm. I think the music is very similar. But yeah, same thoughts that you had. It's kind of a middle-of-the-road track for me, so number 7.
I put it at number 9. I don't think any of the songs are bad, but it's just kind of where I put it, just because it's one of the ones I'm not as fond of as the rest of the album. And when it got on the vinyl, when you play it, after Stand ends, that's the end of the side 1. You flip it over, and then you drop the needle, and Hot and Cold comes on. Yeah, pretty much like what you said, too. Middle-of-the-road song for me. I do hear Love 'Em and Leave 'Em now that you mentioned it. But yeah, I put it at number 9.
I put it the highest of anyone on here. I put it at number 4 because I think it's a pretty great song. It definitely is one of those throwback songs. This sounds, like you guys said, it's this Gene, mid-70s, be it Rock and Roll Over or Love Gun. I really think this would fit on Love Gun. You know, the lyrics, just like a lot of this record, are a little bit forgettable in all honesty. You know, it's just kind of typical, like, rock and roll, you know, let's get a girl and sing about it kind of lyrics. But, you know, that's what we want out of Kiss. We don't want them trying to be, you know, the Radiohead or Pink Floyd or something like that. So I think it works really well. And this is one that I think they, you know, would have worked well in a live setting, but they didn't do that. They didn't play much from this record live. But I think it's a cool song, so I ranked it at number 4.
Awesome. Well, I like how we've started out on this. That's really cool. So what is predictions for number 10?
Number 10, I said Russian Roulette.
Number 10, I put When Lightning Strikes.
I also, for number 10, put When Lightning Strikes.
I was hoping we'd get 4 different answers again. I put at number 10, Never Enough. At 295 points for number 10, the panel chose Danger Us. 2 panelists, Dole Eric Rausch and a host, picked this as their number 1 song. And I'll let them talk about that when they get to it. Me, I picked Danger Us as my 10th favorite song. It's almost near the bottom. And this song is a little hard for me to listen to just because of the chorus. The whole Danger Us thing is just a little too cheesy for me. But I actually like the music to this, and I like the verse to it. I even like the first part of the chorus, the 2 parts Trouble, Double Down Tough. I like when Gene and Paul sing a lot together on this album, which I love. I love when they share songs and vocals in songs, and Gene is very prevalent in the background mix of the vocals. He's very prevalent, and I just love, this is another one of those songs that has that very old school sound, that that very old riff, late 70s again, Rock and Roll Over. This sounds more like Rock and Roll Over to me. I think we're going to be kind of, like you said, Matthew, is it Rock and Roll Over, is it Love Gun, or is it Revenge? We're going to be kind of jumping around between those 3 albums to see if somebody throws in a 4th album. kind of bring in a curveball. Yeah, very much rock and roll over to me, but I just can't get past the danger you, danger me, danger us. I can't get past that. It loses, as the kids say. I don't know if they still say it, Justin, you being the youngest one, but it loses a lot of cool points.
Yes.
It loses a lot of cool points with the danger you, danger me, danger us thing to me. But it's still a good song, except for that one part. If Paul could have just come up with another title and just come up with another line, this song would have probably gone up 2-3 slots maybe for me. So what about you guys, Matthew?
I put this as number 6. This is a mid-road song for me as well, and I agree. To me, it sounds very 80s-ish. It is very cheesy. I kind of hear, Crazy Nights era, like when Paul was kind of like heading up the band. This sounds like something very cheesy that he would have put on that. How about Danger Us? But yeah. So I like it, and when I listen to it, I go on that frame of mind. Like, if this was I could hear this as an 80s Kiss song, and that's what I'm thinking. So I'm like, yeah, it's cheesy. It sounds corny, but it's fun, So number 6 for me.
So 80s. So are you talking Crazy Nights 80s or Hot in the Shade 80s?
I would say like Crazy Nights 80s.
Crazy Nights 80s. Okay.
Maybe a little bit Hot in the Shade. Somewhere in between there. Maybe this is a leftover between the two.
All right, Justin.
All right, so I am the host who put this at number 1. Now, to be honest, I just recently started to really put this song at number 1, probably in about August of 2017. Now, my song that I put for number 2 was always my favorite until then. So from like December of 2009 all the way until about August of 2017, the song I have at number 2 was always my number 1. And the part that you don't like about like Danger Me, Danger You, Danger Us, that's actually what kind of made me start to like it more. And I do remember, like, as a little kid when I first got the Sonic Boom CD, as I was discovering them more, I look at it and I see Danger Us, I always think of the song Danger from Creatures of the Night. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just because of the danger part in it.
Okay.
I didn't hear this album in its full entirety either until about 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know why, but I'd always listen to Modern Day Delilah and Russian Roulette up until sometime in 2014. Now, I may have heard it at some point in its entirety, and I just don't recall it, but I'm pretty sure late 2014 was the first time I heard it in its entirety, beginning to end.
All right. What about you, Chris?
Cool. I put this one at number 9, so it is a little bit lower for me, kind of for the same reason that chorus is the best, the best asset and the biggest thing it has against it, basically, because, yeah, it's super cheesy, and I kind of like that, but I also don't. I think that he could have came up with something a little bit better. It does have a very 80s feel to it, and, it's okay. It's not bad, but I did rank it a little bit lower because it just didn't really stick with me. And kind of like I've talked about in some of these other songs, doing it live for this one, not that I really care that they didn't play it live, but I would have loved the Paul rap beforehand, because I could have just seen him on stage saying, "People, sometimes you get into danger, but you're not in danger right now because you're at the Kiss show, so go buy a shirt out at the merch stand. All right, people, don't be in danger with the law. Wear your Kiss shirt in public. This song's called Danger Us."
Be
like
danger that. With us. Danger us.
Yeah. It had a good intro rap, but other than that, it's okay. It's not at the top of my list.
All right, so number 9 predictions.
Number 9, I predicted Yes I Know.
All right, for number 9, I picked All for the Glory, or I predicted, I should say.
I also predicted All for the Glory for number 9.
Must have been cheating off of each other's math homework.
Ooh, and I picked All for the Glory on number 9.
Basically.
I picked All for the Glory.
We don't have high opinions of what Eric's where he's gonna end up.
At breaking into the 300s at 316 points, the panel chose for number 9, When Lightning Strikes. 2 panelists, Trevor Bullock and Vincent Marone, author, picked When Lightning Strikes as their number one song. I picked When Lightning Strikes is 8th for me. There's so much I like about this song, and there's so much I dislike about this song. It's a total Ace Spaceman ripoff, and you know, I know he's got the Ace makeup on, but he doesn't have to play Ace songs. He doesn't have to have Ace riffs. He doesn't have to have Ace solos. But now, having said all that, I actually like this song. I love the chorus. I actually like the chorus better than I do the verse, because to me, even in the verse, he's trying to sing like Ace, like where I'm alive like a hurricane flies. I mean, he's kind of putting his, like, stretching his words out like Ace does, and singing like he's kind of drunk. And you know, but now whenever I like the little pre-chorus, the little turnaround, the little thing that they put under it. But then when it does that, when lightning strikes, I love the chorus. I'll sing along to the chorus of this song. And the riff in the beginning of it sounds, I said in my review of this album, it sounds like that song by that band. I always forget their name, but it's There's Never Been Any Reason for You to Think About. Save My Life, I'm Going Down for the Last Time. The riff at the beginning of this sounds like that to me. And so I hear that song in my head when I'm listening to this, but it doesn't detract from it. And so I enjoy it, but you know, just those dings against it pushes it down to 8 for me. So what about you guys?
Well, you were looking at my paper there, because I wrote Never Been Any Reason by Head East. Because that's exactly what I hear. When I hear this song starting, I hear that song, you know? So, yeah, if you guys aren't familiar with it, go listen. I mean, just like Brant was saying, the opening of this song sounds exactly like the music in that song. But yeah, I put this as number 11, honestly. It seemed to me like they were just trying too hard to make an Ace song. It was like predictable, like kind of like, oh, it's got to be an Ace song. So like, oh, how about something about lightning, since there's a lightning bolt across his chest sometimes, you know? It's just, you know, it's going to be, if they're going to give him an Ace song, it's going to be something about lightning or space, or, you know, something kind of trippy sounding. It just, I don't know how else to explain it, except it was just trying way too hard to fit what they thought an Ace song should be, when I think they could have just given Tommy something more suited for him, you know? It just didn't do it for me. 11.
Okay.
So I put it at number 8 as well. Now, I do like this song a lot. Pretty much 6, 7, and 8 could interchange with each other, but I just put it at number 8. I really do like the chorus too. When it sounds like I think it's Paul and Tommy and possibly Gene singing along with him. That part's pretty cool. But I will admit, I do prefer Out of This World from Monster a little more over When Lightning Strikes. But Lightning Strikes is still a pretty good song. So I put it at number 8.
Okay.
I put this one at number 5. I actually put it the highest of anyone. And, you know, it's one of those things where, yeah, they're trying to make an Ace song. But, you know, here's the thing. Gene and Paul, the rest of the guys, they know how to make a good Ace song. That is fair. And I think Tommy's a good singer. Funny enough, because he's trying to sing like Ace, I think he's actually kind of downplaying his vocal abilities a little bit here. Because I love Ace. His vocal styling is very unique, but we all know he's not the greatest singer in the world. But with that being said, this song is so cool. It has that cool groove with, you know, just the drum beat. I really like the drum beat. Everyone's kind of talked about the guitars and the, you know, the vocals, but I really like the drum beat actually on this one. Yeah, the lyrics are a little silly, just like a lot of songs on this record, but I think it's a very strong song if you kind of just throw the prerequisite, this is supposed to be an Ace song, kind of out the door there.
So that brings us up to number 8.
I predicted Hot and Cold.
I predicted Never Enough.
And number 8, I predicted Danger Us.
Us. All right, number 8, I predicted Yes, I Know Nobody's Perfect. At 336 points, the panel chose for number 8, Russian Roulette. Nobody picked Russian Roulette as their favorite song. I picked Russian Roulette as my third favorite song. This is this is my third favorite Gene song on the album. I love Russian Roulette. I know I'm just looking at the looking at people's panels. I mean, Russian Roulette caught a bunch of shit from people. It was in a lot of lower part of people's lists. And I don't understand what people's beef with Russian Roulette is. I don't understand it because I actually think it's a very decent song. It's very memorable to me, and it's one of those songs where Gene sounds like he's trying. And so I enjoy Russian Roulette by Gene. So, and Gene, Gene basically, except with the exception of one song on this album, Gene basically becomes 70s Gene with a combination of 80s Gene, where his songs are about, sex, fuck me, suck me type what we call type Gene songs. And I'm okay with that. He was a little more subtle about it in the 70s. He was very open about it in the 80s, and I loved it because I was a teenage kid, and that's what I wanted to hear in the 80s. He kind of dances back and forward on this album with that. So, and he displays a lot of confidence in his songs, which we know Gene has a lot of confidence and a lot of ego, a lot of charisma. And so, I actually enjoy the Gene that is on this album a little more than I enjoy the Paul that is on this album. And we've not said it, we've not talked about the elephant in the room yet, that Gene's voice still sounds great on this album, where Paul's not so much. Paul's is actually starting to sound very strained on this album, and on a couple songs that when we get to them, I'll be sure to point it out. He does some things that he might not should have done and put down forever eternally on vinyl. But we'll talk about that. But Russian Roulette for me is number 3.
It was number 10 for me. I feel like the opening of the song is very misleading. It starts off making you think it's going to be a little heavier than it is. But, not that I really hate the song or anything, but I feel like this was to me, it feels like this is a leftover track from when he was doing his asshole solo record. I feel like this track could definitely have been on that record. It just has that vibe to it. And to me, that whole solo album was very hit or miss. It was kind of all over the place. But, that's how Gene is with his stuff. He's all over the place. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't that I hated the song or anything. There's just others I like more. And then I felt like this was more suited for his, non-makeup solo stuff, even though he hasn't done a whole lot of that. So number 10.
Okay.
Well, I put Russian Roulette at number 2. Now, had we done this 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I would have actually had Russian Roulette at number 1. But Dangerous ended up overpowering it a little bit. But I really do love this song. I remember loving the song a lot when I was like 6, 7 years old when I first got the CD. And the part I like about it the most is the beginning where it says, "Some ladies love me, some ladies don't. But I know what you're going to do even when you say you won't." I always thought as a little kid that was really cool. And like the way he sang it and with the bass and Eric's drums and all that, I thought it was a pretty cool song. And yes, I did read the lyrics from the lyrics booklet that was in the CD. Yeah, I put it at number 2.
I put it at number 7. I think it's kind of a middle-of-the-road song for me. I don't think it's bad at all, but it's just kind of a typical Gene song. I think people hating it is kind of uncalled for, but it's not my favorite. But if someone says it was their favorite, I'm not going to hate on them for it. But it's kind of a typical rocker from Gene. It's cool, but it's just kind of middle of the road.
Okay. All right, so that brings us up to number 7.
I predicted All for the Glory.
I put Russian Roulette.
For number 7, I predicted Hot and Cold.
Okay, for number 7, I predicted Russian Roulette. At 341 points, the panel chose for number 7, Yes, I Know, Nobody's Perfect. 5 panelists, Paul Bertolino, Luis Maladano, Stephen Goodman, Super Kiss 1200, and myself picked Yes, I Know, Nobody's Perfect as their favorite song. This has forever and always been my favorite song off this album. and it probably always will be. This is my most favorite Gene song off this album. It's funny because the top three songs on this album are Gene songs. But I love Yes I Know Nobody's Perfect. It has a rockabilly feel to it. It has more of that Gene confidence, and I love the little stutter, and I love No 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 Nobody's Perfect. Mama Maybe I Come Awfully Close. I love the stuttering there. I love the maybe you should start to take off your clothes. I love Gene in this. This is the Gene that I love. If I can't have the demon Gene, give me this Gene. And even the demon Gene I can only take in limited doses. I honestly prefer this kind of Gene. I love the fits like a glove type Gene, and songs like this. These kind of remind me of, the music is very rock and roll overish, but the lyrical content is very much Lick It Up, Asylum type Gene. So I love it. I love Nobody's Perfect. It's that confident Gene that I love.
I agree with you. This is number 9 for me, but basically my 5 through 9 spots are kind of interchangeable. I do like this song. I totally see what you're saying, because I felt that it was a mix of 70s and 80s. It's like the music sounds 70s, the lyrics are kind of 80s, and I was thinking along the same lines as you, like this is Asylum era Gene, totally. It is a good song. It's just a kind of a middle of the road one, and it just falls at the lower portion of that when I was ranking. So number 9. Still a good song, though.
So I put it at number 11. Now, I do like the song, but I think it was funny, like what Ralph Vieira did in his review for the song. When he was talking about the song, he says, trying to write a song like Rock and Roll Over. Now, I actually do prefer this album to Rock and Roll Over, but I totally do hear Rock and Roll Over, influences on this whole album and in the song. But yeah, I don't know. The song just didn't do as much for me. I've listened to this album many and many a times in the last 10 years, and this just was the one that really never grasped me as much as the other songs did. And there's a couple others that were like that too, but for the most part, this album is great. But this song, I don't know, it just never really grasped to me, but I still do like it. So for that reason, I just put it at number 11, my least favorite.
Okay.
I put this one pretty high. We're going from bottom to the top. I put it at number 2. I agree with you, Brent, that this is just a ridiculously good song. Second favorite one on the record. Yeah, it has those Rock and Roll Over vibes, but that's why I love this song, honestly. It has that feel. This should have been one that had at least attempted in the live set. It has just that, lyrically speaking, yeah, it's kind of silly like some of the other ones, but that's what we want from Gene Simmons. We want Gene walking into the room full of himself saying, yeah, I'm not the best looking guy here, and I'm aware of that, but I'm going home with the best looking girl tonight, because that's the Gene we love. We either want Gene spitting up blood and breathing fire, or getting every girl he can get. And this is that Gene. I agree 100%. I think it's such a cool song. This is one of those that if they told you this was kind of a holdover from something from the 70s, you wouldn't be surprised. You'd go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Kind of like when Van Halen did that a couple years back, and used a bunch of unused demos. This one would have made perfect sense if they had told you that. And as a result, I think it works very, very well, because I put it right there at the top. It's almost my favorite, and on any given day, it might actually be my favorite. But we had to pick places on this, because it's a ranking show, of course. So I think it's wonderful. I think it's great.
All right, so that brings us up to number 6.
I predicted Dangerous for 6.
I predicted Yes I Know Nobody's Perfect.
I predicted Russian Roulette.
I predicted Hot and Cold. So 4 different predictions. And number 6 with 376 points. The panel chose for number 6, All for the Glory. 4 panelists, Matt Ucci, Kissin' Time, Mikkel D, Sublime 130, picked All for the Glory as their number 1 song. I picked this at number 11 for me. This is a skip song. This is the only song on the album that I skip. I actually listen to When Lightning Strikes, and I know a lot of people don't like that song. And I know that I always thought that the two songs between Eric and Tommy would be two of the lower songs that would get picked by the panelists. And it really honestly surprised me to see All for the Glory as high as it is at number 6, because I can't even make this past the intro. Me personally, and I'm going to be unpopular opinion here, I'm not the biggest fan of Eric Singer's voice. I don't really like to hear Eric Singer sing anything. I only like to listen to him. I only like to listen to him play drums. And I don't like to listen to him play drums on albums like this or Monster. I like to listen to him play drums on Revenge and on Carnival of Souls. The Revenge and Carnival of Souls, Eric Singer is a totally different drummer than the drummer on Sonic Boom and Monster. Unpopular opinion or not, whether you agree with me or not, that's what I think. And so I'm not a big fan of this song at all. It's actually the only song on the album that I don't like, and it gets skipped 99.99% of the time. So
I put it as number 3. I do agree with what you're saying, though, as far as Eric's drumming. Eric's drumming is way different on, Revenge and Carnival of Souls versus, Sonic Boom and Monster. But I do like his singing voice, and I feel like, I know they were trying to give him the Peter song, but I don't feel like this really is a Peter song. This doesn't feel like a Peter song to me. It feels like, okay, maybe they gave Eric something that's at least a little bit different than what would stereotypically be. It has a classic Kiss feel to it, but it's refreshing because it's got Eric's voice in it rather than, a Paul or Gene voice, going to it. And I will say this, though. Tommy's guitar work here sounds the most like Ace's. I mean, the guitar, you could tell he's definitely trying to mimic it the most, I feel like, on this song as opposed to any of the others. But I like it. I mean, I feel like it's a good track, so it was number 3 for me.
Okay.
Right. So I put it at number 10, but I do still like the song. It's just one of those that didn't do it as much for me. And I figured that this song was going to end up being at number 9 just because of the whole Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer and the Peter, Chris, and Ace Frehley makeup. So I figured just for that, it was going to be very hated. But I do like the song, but Hot and Cold, All for the Glory, Yes, I Know Nobody's Perfect were the 3 songs that really didn't do too much for me, but I still do listen to them and I don't skip them. But yeah, I just put it at number 10.
I put it at number 6, so I put it the highest of anybody here.
Well, I put it at 3.
Yeah, you said 3. I'm sorry. I'm paying attention, but I'm not apparently. I'm looking at my list and trying to remember who did what. I don't know. I'm just used to saying the defending to the guy, I guess. I don't know, but
yeah, right.
Yeah, right. You separate the art from the artist. But nonetheless, yeah, I think it's a cool song. Definitely. I mean, I put it up there a little bit higher. I think it's unique to hear Eric. I completely get what you're saying, Brent, on just not wanting to really hear him sing. However, at this point, if you really listen to those backing vocals and those harmonies when they play live, he's probably the best singer in the band from a technical standpoint. But that aside, this is a cool song. It's interesting to me. Always, I'm surprised almost that nobody brought up that it's called All for the Glory, and then obviously Peter's solo record, One for All, they put out not too much before that. It's a very similar title, so it sounds like they were really going for that Peter vibe on that. And I think it's a cool rocker. One funny little story related to this: a couple years back at the Indianapolis Kiss Expo, when they did kind of the all-star jam where Eric was kind of playing drums for everybody, and you had Bruce and Bob and Ace and just all kinds of people coming up there and playing. And at times they were saying, what do you guys want us to hear? And of course they're doing mostly Kiss songs and mostly a little bit more deeper cut and obscure stuff. And somebody shouted this out, and they got a little bit of a chant going with it. And Eric literally just kind of got up from the drum set and just yelled at the crowd, no one on stage knows this song. And that was just the end of it, because it was like Ace and Bruce Kulick and all that up there. And Bruce kind of looked at him kind of like, I think I could pull it off. But no one else seemed to even come close to knowing the song. But I think it's cool. It's a unique song in the Kiss canon, if nothing else.
All right, so that brings us to the top 5. So what's predictions for number 5?
Number 5, I predicted I'm an Animal.
For number 5, I put Hot and Cold.
For number 5, I predicted Stand.
Okay. I predicted When Lightning Strikes for number 5. I don't know why I predicted it up that high. Now that I look at it. But yeah. So at 392, staying in the 300s, but getting towards the top. 392 points at number 5. The panel chose Stand as number 5. 3 panelists, Drew Tan 16, David King, and a host picked Stand as their number 1 song. I picked Stand for me as 5, but it's just because there's 4 songs above it that I liked more. Stand could be a number 2 for me. I love Stand. Stand was another one of those songs. It really surprised me to see it up that high when I was done calculating, because this song got a lot of hate too. This was a lot of in a lot of people's 10 and 11 position, but when people did like it, they liked it a lot. They were putting it up in their top 2 or 3, their top, top 2 or 3 they were putting it up in their top 2 or 3 spots. I love Stand. Stand is not a typical Kiss song to me, and it has a positive message, and I like every once in a while when Kiss throws a song out there that has a positive message. And Gene and Paul singing together is always a plus. I love when they sing together, and I love that whenever Gene sings, he has some of his Gene characteristical things that he does, his yes that he does and stuff. So, and Paul actually sounds really good on this one. He's not trying to oversing, and you got some really good background vocals there from Tommy and from Eric. Especially when they break into that part after the solo where they do that "Stand by my side, we'll get by." That sounds really good too. It's got a really good. This is probably one of my more memorable Tommy solos. He sounds really good on this one. I can remember this one in my head. I always talk about how Ace's solos are so memorable that you can sing them. This is one of those that, and Bruce had some solos like that too. This is one of those that I can actually hear the solo, how it goes in my head, just sitting here thinking about it. So yeah, Stand for me is it's number 5.
Number 1 for me. I love this song. It's great. I know Kiss will always try to do, their anthem songs, and I feel like they were trying that with this one, and this one works, whereas a lot of them don't. You can sing along with this one. I can definitely see them doing this one live, and it, getting people, motivated and pumped. I mean, it like you said, the positivity of it is really good and refreshing. Paul and Gene both sound good, so I agree. I mean, it's a great track to me. So number 1.
Okay.
So I put it at number 5. I really do like this song a lot. Like when I hear the song, I can just, in my head, I can vision that scene from Kiss Meets a Phantom of the Park when they're doing Shout It Out Loud. I can see Paul singing to it, like one of those YouTube music videos. Like I can see somebody dubbing Stand over that Shout It Out Loud scene from Kiss Meets a Phantom of the Park, which is my all-time favorite movie, by the way. But yeah, really good song. I do like when Gene and Paul trade vocals. I think that's also why I think of like Shout It Out Loud and stuff like that, because they trade out vocals. So yeah, number 5 for me, really good song.
I hate to be the party pooper on this one. You guys love it so much. I feel bad, but I put it at number 10, second from the bottom. I don't think it's the worst song by any means that Kiss has ever put out, and I actually like that breakdown, the kind of mellow part that Brent brought up there earlier. It sounds a lot like a kind of like Bob Ezrin production at that point, which is really cool. That being said, I think it's kind of contrived. I think they were going for that kind of epic, kind of positive sing-along thing, kind of like God Gave Rock and Roll to You, but it didn't do it for me. The performances are all pretty good on it. It didn't click with me. It's still a good song. It's just not my jam.
Well, see, this is the curse when you're constantly voting higher than us on songs. You're going to have the swing back to that where you're going to be lower than us. All right, so that brings us up to number 4.
I predicted Never Enough.
I predicted Stand.
I predicted Yes, I Know, Nobody's Perfect.
And I predicted Dangerous. At number 4, breaking into the 400s. At number 4, the panel chose I'm an Animal. 4 panelists, Mix C, Rocker L 0270, Future Squash 767, and That Toy Bonnie Guy picked I'm an Animal as their number 1 song. This is my number 2 song. This is my second favorite Gene song on the album. I freaking love I'm an Animal. It's the Demon. It's as closest to the Demon as we're going to get on this album. And so I love it. I love the way it starts. I love just the intro to this. You got to freaking turn it up. If you can get your hands to the knob, you need to turn it up. But then when he starts singing, he's singing more in the vocal stylings of like he does on Russian Roulette or on Yes, I Know Nobody's Perfect. He's not singing in an animalistic demon voice until he gets to the chorus. And I love that, how there's that repeated, I'm alive in the streets, in the streets. I like how they do the echoing. It's got a great breakdown for the solo. It changes. It goes into that dun 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 dun, goes in, and then they do that double time or halftime thing on it. But yeah, and the scream at the end. I love the scream at the end. Whenever I get a Gene scream like that, I really, really love it. So yeah, I'm an Animal to me it's my second favorite song on the album.
Yeah. Number 5 for me. I like this song a lot. I put it was Demon Light because just like you said, he's got his regular singing voice that he has on the others, but then he goes into the demon voice after that. So it's he's got a mix of both. But so I can hear, when I hear this, I hear a little bit of 80s Gene in it, as far as like what he would do demon wise in the 80s. But I hear a little bit of like Revenge era type stuff too. So it's really good. Great track. Perfect for Gene on this album. Number 5.
Right. I put it at number 4. I do really like this song a lot. I like the part like with the echo. Like, I'm alive in the street with Paul helping him. And I'm an animal and I'm free. Like I like that. That's pretty cool. And then of course like the music on Gene sounds really good. So I put this song at number 4.
Okay.
All right, I'm the party pooper again. This is the one that I put dead last.
I'm telling you, you're gonna here at the end. All of yours, you're gonna be lower than the rest of us.
I put this one dead last at 11. This is one of the very few on here. I'm surprised it's up so high. I predicted it would be last. I think that was just like my malice towards the song kind of coming out there because I just don't think this is a good song. I think this is the most contrived song on the record because it is Gene trying to make God of Thunder, trying to make War Machine, trying to make something like that. But I think it comes off as an old rich guy trying to write a song like that. And guess what? It is an old rich guy trying to write a song like that. It doesn't come off menacing to me. It comes off like a Sesame Street version of God of Thunder or something like that. And I mean, the riff is okay if I have to find a positive in it, but the lyrics I just think are juvenile. I brought them up here just to kind of look at them again, and these rhyme schemes are just, they're not great. I mean, the lyrics on this record in general are not the strongest of the Kiss catalog, but I mean, he rhymed beat with feet, and I'm sorry, like people talk about Ace writing silly songs to make them rhyme, but that's just right up there with the Ace silly rhyming songs. But I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. It breaks my heart that you guys love it so much, and I can't stand it. I don't know why they did this one live either. It was plotting, and people just didn't seem to care, and I was kind of right there with them. I'm sorry.
Well, see, you said Sesame Street. Now I want someone to dub a video of Animal from, the Muppets. I'm an
animal! I would like the song more probably with a video like that. That would be pretty great.
That would be amazing.
I should have worn my animal t-shirt, and then I could have been like, I'm an animal.
Well, I've got a lot of time right now. Maybe I'll look into that for you guys.
There you go.
All right, so that brings us up to the top three, and that brings us to number three.
I predicted Say Yeah.
I predicted I'm an Animal.
I predicted Never Enough.
Okay, I predicted I'm an Animal. At 416 points for number three, the panel chose Never Enough. 4 panelists, Tom Dust, John O, Jay Reed, and a host picked this as their number one song. I picked it as my number 4, and I don't give a shit if it sounds like Poison or not. I don't care. It's a good song, and everybody's like, oh, they ripped off Nothing But a Good Time. To me, I think they took Nothing But a Good Time and they made a better song. No slight against Poison. I think Poison's a great band. I'm going to be covering about at least 2 of their albums in my 80s panel videos. Maybe 3. I might throw in Flesh and Blood. But I love Never Enough. This is Paul, to me, probably sounds the best on this song than he does on any of the other songs except for maybe Stand. And it's a party song. This could have been on Crazy Nights. It is a 80s party song, and I love it because I grew up in the 80s. So when I'm driving my little Mini Cooper back and forward to work, in the 15 minutes it takes me to get there, every time this song came on, luckily it was near the beginning of the album, and every time it came on, the window went down and the volume went up, and I was 16, 17, 18 years old again. And I love the fact, well, a lot of people hate about this song. I love it. I love the fact that it takes me back to a time that I grew up in, and it kind of just takes you back, and you leave reality and all this crap we've got going on right now for a little bit. And that's what a good song does, in my opinion. So I don't care if it sounds like another song. I love it. It is number 4 for me.
I agree. It's number 4 for me as well. I call this Never Enough of a Good Time. But yeah, I mean, I think the reason that I do like it is because it does sound like a Poison song. It does sound like it belongs in the mid-late 80s. And just like it takes you back, it takes me back too. I mean, yeah, I was only 7, 8, 9 years old then, but I liked music like this, and it was like party music, and it was fun, And so this is a fun song for all the reasons that you said. I totally agree. Number 4 all the way.
All right. I put this song at number 7. Now, I still do really like this song a lot. And I've heard about that, how it sounds like Poison, Nothing But a Good Time. And I meant to listen to it this week, compare them, but I didn't end up doing it. But maybe after this, I'll have to compare it. But I myself is really not a huge Poison fan, but I will have to listen to it. But I do really like this song a lot. Even though I do put it kind of lower-ish, I still really do like this song. And just because I put it 1 through 8 are all really great songs. But I just kind of put them where I had them, just because that's where I had them when I did the list. But yeah, Never Enough is still a really good song. So yeah, I put it at number 7.
Okay.
I put it at number 1. I'm the one that put it at number 1 because I love this song, and just like you guys said, yeah, it's a little bit of a Poison knockoff, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't seek some legal action. But that being said, it's such a good song. This is one of the ones. It's funny that you brought up the car ride listening to it, because I remember when I got this CD and put it in the CD player immediately, of course, because we all had to go down to Walmart and pick it up. And I remember going to multiple Walmarts because I was trying to get all the merch. Remember how they're supposed to have the Kiss store, but it didn't really happen. But nonetheless, when I got this, I put it in. And, Modern Day Delilah was great. Russian Roulette was great. But when this came on, I was ready. This was the Kiss that I wanted. It has such a good opening lyric. And I know I was talking about I'm an Animal being stupid lyrically. And this opening lyric is kind of stupid, but in the best way possible. It's just the ready, set, go, light the fire below. You can't get better for positive Paul Stanley lyrics. That's just kind of like a mission statement right there. It's saying, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're here to do. We're here to party. This is one that I do think you guys have brought up earlier that some of the Tommy solos are not the most memorable, and notice I haven't talked about the guitar solos a lot, but I think the guitar solo on this one is phenomenal. I think all the guys are just playing on, they're just the highest octane possibility that they can play with. I don't know. It's such a good song. It's such a party song. Nothing But a Good Time is one of the best Poison songs, so why not rewrite it with Paul Stanley? Poison and Paul Stanley kind of goes together, and it's one of those two where it's interesting that it even happened, because obviously they were aware of this song, because if you even look back, I think it was the I Won't Forget You video with all the live footage, Paul is seen on stage playing with Poison at one of their early shows. You can go back and find that. It's a really quick clip, but it's in there. So Paul was aware of this song, and I'm sure everyone else in the band was aware of Nothing But a Good Time. But they said, this one's good enough. They knew it was a good Paul song, and they said, let's just throw it out there. It's gonna be fine. It's the new version of it for the current times when this came out, and it's a great song. It is fire. I love this song.
And Poison did a cover of Kiss for, I think it was the Less Than Zero soundtrack back in the 80s as well.
Yeah, they did Rock and Roll All Night.
Yeah. So they're big Kiss fans. So maybe that's why I was like, we love these guys. We're not going to do anything.
Yeah, they should have had Brett sing on it, maybe. Something like that. That'd be cool.
That would have been freaking awesome. That would have been that's a missed opportunity right there. If you're going to write a song that sounds like Poison, you might as well give Brett a verse, or
him and Paul trading vocals. Yeah, that would have been great.
I was just about to say that Brett and Paul do a duet.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Oh, and that's one last thing I want to bring up real quick before I end my piece here, because we've kind of talked about Paul's vocals, and there's obviously some rasp on this record. The last line when he shouts out that last "never enough," and there's rasp there, okay? It's not technically speaking perfect, but I think it's so sincere and it's so great. I mean, it's just like he says, this is me vocally in the studio at that point, to be fair, but I love that rasp in the last line. It sends goosebumps up my arms just every time.
Yeah. So that brings us up to the number 2 song, and if you've been playing along, and you always do, you know which 2 we have left, and after this one, you'll know which one is the number 1. So what is predictions for number 2?
I predicted Stand for number 2.
I predicted Say Yeah for number 2.
I predicted Say Yeah as well.
I predicted Say Yeah as number 2 also. With 558 points. So from number 3 was at 416. Number 2 is 558. Jumped up over 100 points. 558 points the panel chose for number 2, Say Yeah. 19 panelists: AJ Zetro, Tony P, It's All For You Demon, Wesley Jones, Mick W, 85 Wild Ride, Walter Thesson, Kissman, Mark Weir, Tony Rod, Jeff Wyatt, Real Squirtle Cat, Rick R, Robbie Stars, Holspa Metal, Wam SB, Michael Vasquez, Buckwheat, Brian Foster, and Jay Rucker picked Say Yeah as their number 1 song. Say Yeah for me is 9. I'm just not a fan of this song. I've never gotten the hype about this song. I know that the people that love this song freaking love this song. And I know Kiss loves this song enough to still be doing it in concert to this day. To me, this would be, to quote the words of Rick from It's All For You Demon, this would be bathroom break song for me, because I've just never been a Say Yeah fan. This is another one of those, they put it last on the album, so I guess they wanted it to be an anthem type song, and it just doesn't work for me. And it never has. I've never been a fan of it. A lot of times, since this is the last song on the album, when this one starts, I usually take the CD out. Because, that's the only way I can listen to it, because you can't stream it or any other thing unless you watch it on YouTube. I usually take the CD out, or I go on to the next full album I'm going to listen to on YouTube. So it just doesn't really do anything for me. So it's number 9.
Yeah, it's number 8 for me. I'm in the same boat there. It's a mid-range song, like I said, between 5 and 9. They're all interchangeable, but this one's going to be kind of at the bottom. It doesn't do much for me. As far as performing live, I think there's several other songs on this album that could be done in place of that song if they wanted something newer that I think would be much better. It just, I mean, you know, I don't totally hate it, but I don't love it at all. It's just there, you know, I can take it or leave it, you know. Number 8.
All right. I put it at number 6. I really, really like this song a lot, as probably a lot of the people do. And when they did it on the End of the Road last year, I remember being pretty excited because this is one of my top 10 favorite albums, and this is one of the really good songs on here. And I remember when Paul's going, having people say yeah, and then the crowd would go, yeah, 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 and I was doing it along with the crowd. And he'd go, say yeah, and then everybody go, yeah, 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 and then they'd start. I have a video on my phone from that show that I saw last year, and you can hear me say yeah, yeah, yeah with everybody else. And then, you know, it's a pretty good song. So yeah, I put it at number 6.
Okay.
I put it at, what was it? Number 8. Yeah, I put it at number 8. So I'm kind of on the same boat as you guys, at least the first two of you guys. I think it's kind of a middle of the road song as well. Again, a lot of this has been said already, but you can tell they just really, really wanted to have an anthem with this song, but it just didn't really translate that well into an anthem, you know, status. That being said, speaking of kind of to the end of the road comment just then, I remember the first time I saw them play this live, it was on the Alive 35 tour was what they were doing right around this time. They weren't calling it the Sonic Boom tour just yet. It was the Alive 35 tour, so they're doing all the Alive stuff again. And I remember I saw that tour twice. I saw it in Birmingham, Alabama, as well as Nashville, Tennessee. Saw the Birmingham show first, and then there was like Atlanta in the middle, and then Nashville. Well, between those dates, they added in Say Yeah to the set, so it wasn't there at the first show, and it was there at the second. And I remember seeing them in Nashville at the second, and I was just so excited. I was like, are they going to play it? Are they going to play it? They played it in Atlanta. Are they going to play it here? And it was refreshing to hear it in the set because it was a new song. That being said, now after seeing it at all these End of the Road shows and seeing it on the Motley Crue tour and Def Leppard and everything, because it's kind of always been in the set, it feels like it's kind of lost that. And I think there is some fatigue. And yeah, I think they really, really wanted an anthem out of this one. But I think the song Yeah, Yeah, Yeah by P. Under Z is actually better, which is a much sillier song because they're this like crazy Japanese punk rock like superhero group. You should look them up. They're really crazy. But they have a song called Yeah, Yeah, Yeah that I think is a lot better actually. So that being said, it's fine. It's whatever.
All right, so that brings us to number 1. So what was the predictions for number 1?
Modern Day Delilah.
Modern Day Delilah.
Modern Day Delilah.
Yeah, MDD mine way too. With 578 points, beating Say Yeah out by 20 points. The panel chose Modern Day Delilah. 21 panelists: Emily Graziano, Carolina Hard Rock Metalhead, Les Wadley, Raven FM, Raw Barber, Daniel Bars, Jeremy Kimona, Hitspace 1980, Hard Rock Reverie, Joel Pegg, Jesse Ray, Mike Westfall, Guard TJ 75, Jay Lee, Gregory Pegg, Sam Loomis, Darren Helliwell, Aladio, Bill Sharp, Destroyer Dave, and Michael Wayne picked Modern Day Delilah as their number 1 song. I picked Modern Day Delilah for me as my number 6. And this song is one of those songs, again, I don't understand all the hype on this song. It's got a great riff, but it kind of turns cold for me at the very beginning, just before Paul even starts singing the riff. I remember the very first time I heard this, and literally I'm going to show you my reaction. It starts, and it got that nice rock and roll over sounding kind of riff, that and it's playing, and then Paul goes, yeah, yeah, and I'm like, oh no, it's going to be one of those Paul songs. And, you know, just one of those where Paul, you can just see him dancing, yeah, yeah, while he's, you know, and then you hear the strain in the very beginning at the across the room, and I was like, whoo, Paul. But this is one of those songs where, Paul, there's a couple places in this song you should not have done. You guys know what parts I'm talking about. There's a couple parts in this song he should not have done. The scream at the very end, he shouldn't have done. And something about coming out of the solo where he does that. and his, it's just like, oh God, man, why? You know your voice. One, you can't do this anymore, and two, why would you want to put a song? Why would you want to do this in a song where you may potentially it may become a hit, and you're writing it to be a hit because it was the first release, I believe, and you may have to reproduce it night after night after night, and if you not choose to use recorded aid to do it, you got to do it yourself. Or not faithfully reproduce it and do something different. So I just have a lot of beef with this song, which is basically what pushes it down so low to number 6. But there's a lot I still like about it. So it's got a really cool bridge. It's got really cool pre-choruses. The solo's okay. But there's a lot of parts, when this is sitting there and it's getting done, I'm just sitting there waiting for the opening of Russian roulette. I'm waiting for it to get done and to get the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm ready for that to come in because that's so fun to play on drums. So, I said a lot to talk about a song I don't really like. So it's number 6 for me.
It was number 2 for me. I like it a lot. It reminded me of like Revenge Era, honestly, to me. Maybe even a little bit of Carnival of Souls, because the thing you're saying about Paul's vocals, I kind of hear, when I say Carnival of Souls, I kind of hear that in it. Kind of like, the grunge kind of sound, like he's, kind of making his voice kind of sound a little gravelly, raspy or something. But, maybe I'm hoping that's what it is.
I think you're hoping.
Yeah.
I don't think he's making anything sound that way. I think it's sounding that way on its own.
Yeah. I do like this song a lot. It's really good. I would have been interested to hear someone else do the vocals on it, though. Honestly, I would have been interested to hear like Gene maybe do the vocals on this one to see how he would have.
This seems like, it feels like more of a Gene song to me.
It really does, and like I think it would have been even. I like the song a lot, but I feel like it would have been even better if Gene was doing it, because it just the music lends itself, I think, more to Gene's vocal.
Modern day Delilah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But yeah, it's still a great track though. So number 2.
All right, so I put it at number 3. I remember it was the first time I heard the song. It was actually the day after Christmas in 2009. My father, I think, was bringing me to my grandmother's house, and I just gotten the CD the day before. And, I had always really only knew the Kiss Classic CD there, the bonus disc. And I said to him, I want to listen to the actual Sonic Boom CD on the way. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. So he popped it in. I heard Modern Day Delilah. I thought it was a great song. But I really do like this song a lot, and I can totally tell it was meant to be a hit. It was the single of the album. It was the first release. And they also put it at the end credits there for the Scooby-Doo and Kiss movie that was done about 5 years ago, which I like that inclusion. Yeah, this is number 3 for me. Pretty good song. I should say a really good song.
I put it at number 3 as well. I think it's a great song, honestly. My top 3 on this record could all be number 1. I think the riff is just so tasty. Love that riff. The solo from Tommy is great on this one. This is one where he shines through. And, despite some of those vocal shortcomings, Paul is definitely another star on this song. And, lyrically speaking, again, this lyric I brought up here, I know the way you made the others break, but loving me would be your first mistake. I love that because that's such a vocal trope that Paul is always tackling. He likes to go after these women that are like kind of unobtainable, he feels, because they broke so many men and they've destroyed so many people. But Paul wants the challenge. Paul needs the challenge because he's a star child. He can handle any woman that comes his way. He's Paul Stanley, the star child, and he tackles that a lot through the years. He always wants to, get with these women that are just a challenge, and he kind of tackles that here. And I think it's interesting too that the song title is Modern Day Delilah, because it's interesting for a couple of reasons. It's almost like Paul is very literally trying to say, yeah, Kiss is a vibrant modern band here. We have modern day in our title. But he's also kind of throwing in the name Delilah, which is one you don't hear a whole lot, because I think at this point in Paul's life, he kind of considered himself a little bit more highbrow than even the average Kiss fan to a degree, with all of his art and everything else. So he was like, yeah, people, let's use a song title. Let's use a name like Delilah. Nobody knows how to spell that that's in our fan base. This will be great. And, so I think he was kind of trolling his own fan base a little bit with that title. But as a result, I think it's a really good title. It's a really good song. It has really good lyrics, great riff. Everything is just it's great. I think it's a wonderful song, and I think it was a good choice for the first single. It really just showed you that Kiss was back, and you need to pay attention, people. Pay attention, people.
All right, so let's count these down again. Let's recap. Number 11, Hot and Cold. Number 10, Danger Us. Number 9, When Lightning Strikes. Number 8, Russian Roulette. Number 7, Yes I Know, Nobody's Perfect. Number 6, All for the Glory. Number 5, Stand. Number 4, I'm an Animal. Number 3, Never Enough. Number 2, Say Yeah. And number 1, Modern Day Delilah. So that's it for this panel. The next one that we will be doing will be for Kiss's Monster album. So by the time you see this video, that post will be up for you to be able to vote on. So any closing thoughts, guys, on Sonic Boom?
I have a couple things to say.
Yeah,
go
ahead.
All right. So this video really made me relive out my childhood. You can really see this shirt here that I'm wearing, the solo album shirt from 1991. I had the shirt as a little kid, like when I was 7 years old. My father had given it to me. He got too big for it, and I remember I just wore that thing out. Like the armpits was down, like ripped down to here. The back was destroyed, and I ended up using it as a pillowcase for many months, and that ended up getting lost in a move, along with some Kiss potato heads that I had and a poster of Sonic Boom that I had and other things along with that. But I was able just to get this about a month ago, so I had to wear it because I know I'd be reliving my younger years, my childhood, so I had to wear this for this panel. And I like both Monster and Sonic Boom, but I love Sonic Boom. And Monster it's okay. I do like it, but parts of it did fall flat. But I still do like the album. I do own it on vinyl. And I remember I got it at Target not too long after it was released. And I have that Walmart exclusive magazine with the CD in it too. I bought that shortly after the album's released, I think around after Christmas or something like that in 2012.
Okay. All right, Matthew.
Yeah. I just think that I gave the album a chance, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I think basically everybody has their homework now because they have to go listen to Nothing But a Good Time by Poison and Never Been Any Reason by Head East. So go check those out, and you'll hear Kiss in those songs definitely.
Chris, you got anything?
I mean, just to reiterate, I think it's a solid record, not their absolute best, but far from their worst. I think it's a very healthy middle ground. And, if people listened with their eyes a little bit less, I think they would find a lot to enjoy here. Or, maybe they're enjoying it just enough depending where their opinion is. But I think it's good. And, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm glad this and Monster came out just to have a recorded representation of this version of the band since, this version of the band, love them or hate them, they've been going on for a while at this point. So I think this was a good thing to throw out there and kind of something that is kind of essential to have happen.
Yeah. It's a good summer album. Here where I live, it's finally starting to warm up, and I've listened to this out on the patio on my Bluetooth speaker, and it fits warm weather. It's a good drinking beer. I was drinking some beers the other night, counting up and listening to it while I was doing it, and it fits in. I mean, it's not a horrible record. To me, it's not the worst record they've ever made. Contrary to popular opinion, Sonic Boom and Monster, with a lot of the old school people, they just discount it just because it's not the original. It's not the original Kiss or the replacement members Kiss, and they count it off because of the makeup on. And even though I'm not a big supporter of that, it is what it is, and so I try not to. Whenever I listen to this album, I try to look at this part, and rather than looking at that part, I look at this. And I was like, if this is what it is, and you don't have to see the faces, it's actually not a bad album. And to be self-produced by Paul Stanley, co-produced with Greg Collins, it's actually not too bad. It's not the worst album definitely not the worst album they've done. So that's all we got for this one. Guys, be sure to check out MD Smith Comics on Instagram. Be sure to also check out Justin's pages on YouTube and on Instagram. And be sure to check out Kimchi Chris on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to him on YouTube. Subscribe to Justin on YouTube as well. And if you haven't subscribed already, give a subscription, give a thumbs up. Thumbs up and subscriptions help. And that's all we got for this one. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Thanks to these guys here. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. I really, totally appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I made it through that whole thing without my video working. I have not seen you guys at all this entire time.
Oh,
You've not seen us the whole time. You've only seen yourself. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the thing is, it wasn't initially showing me. I had to bring myself.